Now we're taking your calls on this. Do you find billionaires inspiring or immoral? 0207 862 2222 is the number. The UK's 57 billionaires saw their wealth grow last year to a combined total of £182 billion. It meant that on average their bank balance rose by £35 million every single day. Across the globe, the combined wealth of billionaires rose by £1.63 trillion. It starts to just get imaginary numbers now at this point. That was in 2024. It's the second largest increase in wealth since records began, and roughly the entire GDP of Russia. So that puts it into a bit of perspective for you. And if the world's 10 richest men, how's this for a fact, lost 99% of their fortune, they would in fact still be billionaires. Now, billionaires come in all shapes and sizes, from social media bosses like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg to entertainers like Taylor Swift. But is having that amount of money inspiring? Do you look at these people and are you inspired by them, or do you look at them and think, this is just immoral now? Nina, what's your view?
Look, these people are all incredible people in their own field. They're geniuses, they're entrepreneurs. I can understand all of that. But I find that the wealth aspect, I do find that becomes immoral, because what then do you do with your wealth, and how do you balance that out with the poverty that, say, there is in greater portions of the world, in the southern part of the globe. And there are entrepreneurs like Richard Branson, who started his first charity at the age of 17. There's Warren Buffett, who gives away so much of his money. People who've pledged to give away 99% of their wealth. Bill Gates, yeah. Melinda Gates, his ex-wife. Yeah. There are all these people, but there are people like Musk who don't do anything like that at all.
Well, not that we know of.
Well, it's fairly well documented as far as we know. There's very little that's philanthropic about Musk.
Well, he's advancing our knowledge in science and space travel, and he is, he's a real mover and shaker in the electric vehicle world, which is somewhere we want to go.
You cannot deny that. But when it comes down to it, acquiring wealth above a certain limit, there's only one pair of shoes you can wear at a time. There's only one steak you can eat at the time. There's only one bottle of champagne you can open. There's only, how many yachts do you want when it comes down to it? There has to be a balance somewhere, because it does become just a little bit obscene.
Mike?
Well, you can't stop entrepreneurial people making money.
Fair enough. But then what they do with it?
Well, you see, I think Elon Musk is something that you've not really understood. He wants to save humanity, and he's launching his own rockets to try and get to Mars. This is absolutely true. In the old days, it was only governments that could launch rockets. Elon Musk can. He lost a rocket the other day. It cost £2 billion, loose change. That's how wealthy he is. So he's trying to advance civilization. Now, if we're getting more and more billionaires, it means the world is getting richer. It's getting wealthier, because these people are all wealth creators.
But where is the money coming? No, it's taking the money.
No, it's not.
This business of trickle down was shown to be an absolute non-starter. When the economic crash came in 2008, and for years it was wealth trickles down. It doesn't. It was completely sucked up, and it's taking it from people who don't.
This man on the right, Zuckerberg, employs about 100,000 people.
Fine.
Isn't that a contribution to the world? Elon Musk employs, I think, 200,000 people. Taylor Swift generates so much joy for people in sales of tickets.
I wouldn't touch Taylor Swift. Let her do what she wants.
No, you wouldn't. But what I'm saying is, if you're generating all this wealth, the wealth gets spread around the world, because these guys go to countries that have low tax barriers so they can manufacture more. They don't just sit there. Honestly, Neil, you must know, they don't just sit there in a huge house in the south of France and say, "Oh, I've got another $2 billion. I think I'll go for another swing."
A lot of them
active
do.
people
who
generate more and more work for all of us and save lives by going into technology.
Then how come the world is getting poorer?
It's not. The world is not getting poorer.
The world is getting poorer.
Pause you both there on that note. We're going to take a break. But stay with us, because later we're going to be asking for your thoughts. Oh, we're going to be asking your thoughts on foxes. So do you love them or loathe them? Really going for that one today. In a moment, though, we want your calls on whether it's wrong for billionaires to keep earning millions of pounds every single day, just getting richer and richer and richer. OK, let's get back to our phone-ins then and our discussion on billionaires and asking whether it's OK for them to just keep getting richer. The UK's 57 billionaires saw their wealth grow last year to a combined total of £182 billion. It meant that on average their bank balance rose by £35 billion every day. £35 million rather every day. Let's take a look at just some of the UK billionaires. I should say that we do not have a billionaire in this country that makes it into the top 100. So that's how wealthy billionaires can get. But we've got James Radcliffe here, we've got James Dyson and Denise Coates. Now, they've each got at least 10 billion in the bank. I don't know whether it's in the bank, but they have at least 10 billion to their name. They're fairly self-made in terms of their wealth. Does that make it any better, Nina?
I agree. They are all creative, hard-working, entrepreneurial people, and that's fine. I mean, you know, we all want to earn money. We all want money. We all dream about money. You know, who wants to be a millionaire on the telly? Or we'd love to win the lottery. You have conversations in the car about, well, if we won the lottery, where would we have a house? Would we have a house in the south of France? Blah, 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 all of that. We all want more money. But then there comes a time, as I said, where you think, well, how much more money do you need?
But what would you do with their excess money, Nina, if you don't mind me asking?
Put it into charitable, institutions.
But then they'd stop making it.
No, they wouldn't stop making it.
They would.
If he gave away 99% of his wealth, he'd still be a billionaire. They would still have that money, but put it towards, like Bill Gates has done, like Richard Branson's done.
But would you want that put into British law, that any billionaire filing their taxes in this country will have to pay
50%?
90% tax?
Yeah. Not necessarily 90%. I mean, I wouldn't know what tax level, but I do think, because they have the money to have fantastically clever and tricky accountants, and then the offshore, the non-dom state.
All those people have made your life better.
A lot of. I'm not saying that, I'm not there, but they're not being punished because why?
They shouldn't be punished.
No, they're not being punished because what would they do with even more money?
Okay.
They don't.
Do you use Amazon, Nina? Do you use Amazon?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally. Jeff Bezos. Do you use Amazon, Storm?
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah, and I do as well. And the whole world does.
Dyson as well. We all hoover our houses. I mean, not all Dyson.
But the whole world
I
uses
can't afford
Amazon.
his hairdryer, but there you go.
Jeff Bezos, probably the fourth or fifth richest man in the world, right?
So?
Created Amazon.
So
that's
what?
what he does with his initiative, with his enterprise. He doesn't sit on his pile of wealth.
He doesn't need even more money.
He does to expand his business.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
I'm going to go to the phones. Janice from Essex, what's your view when it comes to billionaires? Do they inspire you, or do you look at them and think there comes a point where that much money is immoral?
I think two things. With a great wealth comes great responsibility. But the second thing is, I am absolutely sick of this country bashing anybody that's successful. You never see that in America. They praise them. All we want to do is bring them down. By the way, Dyson's moved lock, stock and barrel to Ireland for cheaper taxes. I want to say about Bill Gates, he has tried, I think it's polio they've tried to eradicate. When I watch the programme where he's giving little African farmers seeds to grow, but when they grow, he wants to profit out of it. If there's a drought or a flood, he's getting nothing. And that's not fair.
OK, Janice, you lost me there in the specifics on what these billionaires do, but the general feel that I'm getting for you is that we shouldn't, as Mike says, we shouldn't be punishing billionaires, we shouldn't be anti-billionaires. But does there come a point, Janice, where you're making so much money that actually you can't possibly in your lifetime spend it? And when we have things like a cost of living crisis, we've got old people freezing in their homes, we've got a quarter of children living in relative poverty, does there come a point where actually sitting on that much wealth with all of those things happening is immoral?
Well, I think if you want to look at it like that, it is. But the alternative is socialism. And that means everybody shares the wealth.
Yeah,
I love that if it works. It works, but it doesn't.
Well, Janice, we already have a tax system that goes up the more money that you have, but it stops at 45%. And I can't remember what the number is that it stops at, 120,000 or something? 125,000, OK. So that means that anyone earning above 125,000 will be paying 45% tax. Now, I think everyone can see that if you're earning 125,000, that's very different to earning 35 million a day.
Yeah.
And then therefore,
I get
should that threshold go up? So it's not socialism, it's
Yes,
just, should
I do.
we be paying a bit more tax?
I absolutely do.
Okay, all right, Janice, thank you very much for your call. But we shouldn't be sort of giving them a hard time or punishing them for their success.
It's not punishing them, because what is it taking away from them? It's taking away from them something they don't actually need.
Yeah, but Nina, since the medieval times, since the Middle Ages, the world has got increasingly richer every decade.
You say
and
that.
It has. Now,
Certain people.
if the world stops getting richer, we will go backwards, and there will be, pestilence, and there will be starvation, because the world can't go backwards.
There is
starvation. There'll be even more. The world has to go forward.
You look at Africa.
It has to get richer. It has to grow, because then the wealth circulates around the world.
It doesn't circulate.
We are at our best ever in the world now, because so much money generated in the West now goes around the world.
Alison from Cumbria,
you're living
what's
in a
your view?
dream.
I'm not, honestly.
Alison.
Hello.
Hi there. What do you think? Billionaires, are they immoral or are they an inspiration?
Well, obviously the bomb was like a silver spoon in the mouth and what have you, and they're going to make money and what have you. I've got anything against billionaires, but if I was a millionaire, swap the B for an M. It would be nice if I had money like that, when I watch things on the television that breaks my heart, with children with eye problems and animals that are suffering terribly, I would spill all my money out. And the thing is, I haven't got 2 pennies to rub together, basically. Honestly, I haven't. And I had 3 dogs. I've had to have one put to sleep because he had a tumour. And the fact is, I had another one that I had to have an operation on. £3,000 I had to pay all out on that vet bill. And it's absolutely, totally broke me. And the thing is,
Sorry,
No.
Alison, it's difficult to have the conversation if you've got the TV in the background, so try not to pay any attention to that. But I hear what you're saying. I suppose the thing that we don't know is how many of these individuals are doing charitable things that they're doing anonymously and we know nothing about.
Well, we know about the Gates family, for instance. Nina's already
we know some of them, but there's other people we have no idea about.
Yeah, but that's huge amounts of money going to good causes, which wouldn't be there without billionaires.
In this country, in 2023, I've got this fact here, there were 74,000 non-DOMs in this country, and they paid 800,000 on VAT. They paid 890,000 on stamp duty. They invested 118 million in this country, but they gave 5.9 million to good causes. That's 74,000 non-DOMs gave only 5.9 million, and they are not.
They pay taxes.
They don't pay tax.
They pay taxes on money they generate in this country, not on overseas earnings.
Okay, we're going slightly off topic when we're talking about non-DOMs, although some of them might be billionaires. I don't know. Alison, thank you very much for your call. Thank you for all your calls on that one.